Guys, Ray from Whimsical Pictures here, bringing you my monthly manga haul for the month of December. Happy New Year, guys! Hopefully this one doesn't suck as much as the last one. And as per usual, I'm going to be starting with the Sustain the Industry titles. I have one video game first, and then some manga, and then after that will be used manga. And so the video game I'm going to start off with is one that I purchased with a gift card I got for Christmas, and that is, of course, Pokemon Moon. Pretty predictable. Every weeb in the universe right now is addicted to Pokemon, and that includes me. I actually finished the main game just earlier today. My starter, of course, was Rowlet, because that's why I was excited to get this game. Is like, I fell in love with Rowlet as soon as I saw its design first released. And it might be the first ever Pokemon starter where I actually love all three of its evolved forms. So basically, I just really love my Decidueye right now, and I'm really happy to finally have one. And so that's that. But the next title, we're getting into manga now. This one comes from Bruno Gemunder, who have been publishing Gay Komi. And this is from probably my favorite Gay Komi artist, which is Mentaiko Ito. This is the collection The Boy Who Cried Wolf, which just came out. This is a collection of 3 erotic short stories from him. One of them is like 5 or 6 years old, but the other 2 are quite new. Obviously I can't show you much of what's in here, but I think I can show you the color pages. I do really love his art. It's really, attractive to me. But I also love his sense of humor, and I love reading his afterwords and stuff, because he just seems like such a sweetheart. But this is actually a really well put together book. You can see that it's huge. I don't know, a normal volume would be maybe this one. So, it's huge. It's huge. And it actually has French flaps. So, that one I might have to, yeah, so we'll see. There, that's okay. This one I can show you though. So that's really cool. If you open the French flap, you get this large image, full color. And same on the back. These 2 are okay. I really like this one. The colors are nice. The story's really cute too. And there's that. His stories tend to be really sweet and more on the vanilla side, so not some, Gengaro Tagame stuff, which is a little too hardcore for me. But I just really like his manga, and I'm going to be reading this for the hentai category in Immortalium's 24-hour manga marathon, so I'm looking forward to that. The next one is also for that 24-hour manga marathon, but also just because I needed it. I wanted to go ahead and make a last big order with my Amazon Prime account that I had because I was a university student up until, a couple weeks ago. So before that, runs out, because I'm not going to have that anymore, and it was really nice to have it, so I wanted to take advantage of it one last time. So I got a few titles I've been meaning to, and that's why. But this is from Drawn and Quarterly, Yoshihiro Tatsumi's Abandon the Old in Tokyo. This is a collection of short stories from him. Of course, he is the godfather of Gekiga manga, which is gritty, seinen, dark and gritty seinen manga from the 80s. And yeah, he's really the big name in it. And I haven't read anything from him except one short story that was in AX Alternative Manga, which you'll hear about a little later. But otherwise I haven't read anything. So I was grateful to that manga marathon for giving me an incentive by having a Tatsumi category, so I went ahead and got this. And I'm looking forward to reading it. The next one is another Gekiga title from an author I have read before, but I haven't read much of his Gekiga. And this is Onward Toward Our Noble Deaths by Shigeru Mizuki, also from Drawn and Quarterly. I love Kitaro by Shigeru Mizuki, Gekiga no Kitaro, but I haven't read much of his more serious work. This is about his experience in World War II. So I am looking forward to reading it. This is also a really beautifully designed book with French flaps. I am easily amused by French flaps. There's a nice bio of him. His art is wonderful, and I'm really looking forward to reading a more serious story from him. From Kodansha, we have Neo Parasite F. This is a collection of shoujo short stories by a variety of shoujo mangaka set in the world of Parasite, which is a title I don't love as much as a lot of other people on YouTube. I did enjoy it, but I was rather disappointed by the second half, both in the manga and in the anime. I just thought it got a little too generic for my tastes, but I do enjoy the world and the concept a lot. So, of course, getting a collection of short stories set in the world but following different characters was a no-brainer for me, especially because the cover artist is Asumiko Nakamura, who I have recently been developing a huge brain crush on. She's done, like, Dokyusei, which got, the movie for it got a theatrical release in the US this year. She's also done Utsubora, The Story of a Novelist, as well as a whole bunch of really good BL titles. Definitely one of the best BL artists out there. But a lot of these stories are comedic, some of them are creepy, some of them are romantic, some of them are just weird. But overall, I really enjoyed this collection. I'll put a link down below to my weekly manga wrap-up where I talked about this in more detail. But I would say if you're a fan of Parasite at all, this is worth picking up. The next title I picked up is from a publisher called Koyama Press. This is What is Obscenity? The Story of a Good-for-Nothing Artist and Her Pussy by Roku Danashiko. This is her graphic memoir. It has a really fun style, as you can see. But if you have been following her story at all, as I have, she has been sort of creating these manko, or like pussy, artworks that are really fun and tongue-in-cheek and cartoony like this for quite a few years. And here you can see her kayaking around in this kayak, 3D printed from her vagina. But basically, the Japanese legal system and the Japanese press, and really the global press covering her story, have really been just treating her terribly. And I'm happy that she'll be able to move to Europe with her husband, who she actually met during this whole ordeal, because of this whole ordeal. So at least something good came out of it, and at least she doesn't have to deal with Japan anymore. But it's just really disheartening to see how she's been treated, and I'm interested to read her perspective on all of this. And she's just a big inspiration for me in terms of using this really fun, tongue-in-cheek, joyful sense of humor that she has to bring awareness to this really hatred of female bodies within culture and society, and trying to sort of remove the stigma around women's bodies and women's genitalia. So I'm really eager to read this. It's also a really beautifully designed book. I like this cover. It's very eye-catching. Next, we get into Vertical, and I got this Osamu Tezuka title, partially for the manga marathon, but mostly because I've been meaning to get it for a while, and I decided to just go ahead and bite the bullet and get it, and that is Ayako. And it's huge, as you can see, but this is the whole story. This is one of his more mature, almost Gekiga-like titles. It's supposed to be sort of about Japanese society immediately after the war, so I'm very interested in reading about it. And his art in here is really incredible. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I will say I hate this super matte finish because it's like already getting dirty and I haven't done anything with it. and there's this crease already, that, like, everything is, like, magnified with this type of paper. It's like, I don't know, not a fan. Also from Vertical, I got Volume 4 of Devil's Line by Ryo Hanada. I absolutely loved this volume. It gets better and better with each volume. I think it's a really great vampire series. Certainly if you like Tokyo Ghoul, you'll probably love this. And I talk about it in more detail in that very same manga wrap-up, so click that link if you're interested to hear my thoughts in more detail. From Viz, the last 3 Sustain the Industry titles are from Viz, and the first one is Speaking of Tokyo Ghoul, Volume 10 of that series. And we have a wraparound cover for this one. Naki on the front and Yamori on the back. I like this drawing of Naki, but I'm not a big fan of the orange and yellow color scheme. I think it looks kind of garish. Otherwise, Tokyo Ghoul continues to be great. This was kind of a transitionary volume for me. I know a lot of other people are going to love it because it's nothing but action, but the action isn't necessarily the primary reason I go to Tokyo Ghoul. So I'm just mostly looking forward to the next one to see the payoff for all the stuff that was set up here. Also from the same franchise, we have a light novel, which is Tokyo Ghoul Days. Original story by Sui Ishida and written by Shin Towada. And this is just a collection of side stories following various characters within the Tokyo Ghoul world. The first story is about Hide. That's the one I've read all the way through so far, before I got super addicted to Pokemon and stopped paying attention to anything that wasn't Pokemon. The second one that I'm on now is about Toka, who is my wife, so of course I will follow her to the ends of the earth. But I think that if you're not a huge fan of Tokyo Ghoul, you can probably skip this, but if you are, like me, it's a totally worthwhile companion piece that I would recommend picking up. Finally, for the new stuff, we have Yona of the Dawn, Volume 3. I really love this cover. It looks super intense. And this volume includes the introduction of Yoon, everyone's favorite mom friend, and Gija, the white dragon. So I think next volume is going to start the Xing-A arc, which is awesome because I love him, he's adorable. And this just continues to be a really high quality shoujo fantasy series, with a lot of action, a lot of adventure, and a really great heroine. We really start to see some strong development from her in this one. She's been kind of in shock the last couple volumes, but this one we see that determination and that inner strength that are really going to be vital to her in the future. And it also starts the plot, I guess that's kind of important, of her going around trying to find these 4 dragons so she can lead them in order to overthrow the usurper. So, yay, exciting. Next we're going to get into used stuff, which is mostly one series, but first we have just a few random volumes. Frog in my throat. The first one's a BL title from Be Beautiful. I don't know anything about that imprint at all. But, this is the first volume of Embracing Love by Yoka Nitta. I've heard good things about this artist, so when I saw it for cheap, I decided to pick it up. I think there's 2 more in this series, so if I enjoy it, I'll probably get the other 2 at some point. The next one I picked up for one of the mandatory categories of the 24-hour manga marathon, which is a manga you have no interest in. And I ended up picking this up on a whim because it's only 1 volume long, and quite honestly, the girl on the cover is really hot. This is from Matsukazu Katsura, who also did Eyes and Video Girl Eye, which are series that I've tried to get into before and failed. So this is called Shadow Lady Dangerous Love, and I think it's a one-shot connected to the Shadow Lady series. It seems to be, like, a story all on its own. I read the few pages to make sure, but yeah, I always, like, look at his books and I think that his girls are super attractive, but especially her. She's really hot to me. But then when I try to read them, I just haven't been able to get into them, and that might have been because I was like a dumb teenager. Like, you know, a little Catholic girl, like, oh my, this is giving me the vapors. Yeah, that's how I used to be. So that's kind of turned me off from his stuff, but it's about time I gave it another shot. And this is only 1 volume long, so what better place to start? The next one I got was completely on a whim because it has vampire in the title and the art on the inside looks pretty. This volume's in a little rough shape, but that's fine. The Vampire Dahlia by Narumi Kakinouchi, published by Icy Entertainment. This is a one-shot about a vampire named Dahlia who is looking for her, like, the reincarnation of her lost love. And it's about vampires, and it has pretty art. And that's it. That's why I got it. I just turned in like 3 full boxes of books at this used bookstore, so I have like so much credit it's not even funny. So I've kind of gotten a little looser with my standards from what I buy there. This a friend gave me for Christmas, and I'm very grateful for it. It's AX Alternative Manga, published by Top Shelf Productions. And this is a collection of like really underground manga from the magazine X, or AX, which it says is heir to Gato, but doesn't Gato still exist? I could be wrong, but I think it does. Anyway, these are all titles from that magazine, which is like an avant-garde, like underground, cutting-edge manga magazine. So we've got a whole lot of variety and like really weird, on-the-edge types of comics. I've read this before from the library, but I just am really happy to have it in my collection, and it's about time I read it again. It's a really high-quality printing, and a lot of the stories are really interesting. You also get information about each creator who is featured in the end, which is very nice, so you can look up more of their work if it sounds interesting to you. The last one before we get into this full series that I got is Volume 9 of Kaze Hikaru. I think this was like $3, so I'm just slowly continuing collecting this series. Ever since I decided to start collecting this, I seem to find random volumes popping up everywhere, but this one's in really good shape. So yeah, this is a nice series, really nice shoujo period drama about a girl named Ose who dresses as a boy and joins the Shinsengumi. So yeah, that's it. I'm just continuing to slowly build up volumes. And then the last 14 here are all from one series, and it is the entire series. As I was going in to trade in all those books for credit, it turned out somebody had turned in an entire set of this series, which I've been wanting to collect for a while. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 that's in pretty... Oh. Which one is it? 2 is in pretty rough shape from water damage, but otherwise the only issues with these is some yellowing, which I don't really mind personally, so... And that is Kyoko Hikawa's From Far Away. And this is a shoujo epic fantasy series from the 90s. And what I really appreciate about this is that it has the typical, like, isekai plot of a normal high school girl gets whisked away to a fantasy world, but in this one, she actually has to spend a lot of the early volumes dealing with the language barrier and slowly, like, learning to speak the language of this new world, which is a fun twist on a very sort of tried and true premise. And of course, this type of shoujo fantasy series is like, this is from Viz, by the way, it's from their old shoujo imprint. This type of shoujo fantasy series is like one of my favorite genres of all time. I've talked about that a lot, talking about Yona of the Dawn. So, and this is actually one of the first manga series I ever read, like back in middle school. So it's really exciting to me to own the entire series and have it in my collection. This is volume 6. That's a pretty cover. And, yeah, that's a cool cover. There's 14 volumes in all, so I'm just kind of trying to whisk through them. But I highly recommend this if you're a fan of Yona of the Dawn, or of any other series like this, like the 12 Kingdoms, or Basara. Or, I don't know, Fushigi Yugi. Yeah, I guess I was into Fushigi Yugi back then. Once we get into these later volumes, they're in really good condition, so somebody must not have finished their series. That's fine. So I got a few different stacks here, and I'll show them to you in turn. There's one stack. I don't want to destroy everything. 2 stacks. 3 stacks. And that is all the manga that I got for this month, and for this year, I guess. See you in 2017, guys. Obviously it's 2017 today, but yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but yeah. Let me know if you've been picking up any of these titles, if I made you interested in any of them. If you're participating in the 24-hour manga marathon, please let me know. I'd love to hear about it and watch your wrap-ups if you're gonna do one. And yeah, see you next month, guys. Bye!